This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hey Legion folks, welcome back to Dice Commando, here again with good buddy Keegan. Today we are talking fire support, the fire support keyword, how we can use it to our advantage and how it might backfire on us. So how are we doing today, my friend?
Doing well. Excited to talk fire support. I play it heavily from the Rebel side, which is the least popular side, but I know it's broadly applicable, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, get behind that machine gun and let her rip. So we'll be right back talking about fire support. Hey folks, welcome back. Hope your week has been going well. We're very excited to be here. Actually, we're shooting a double header, so we're here back again, but it's been a couple days since we talked last, so thanks for tuning in again. So one of the questions I asked this man here was fire support. So my clones have fire support all over the place. But there's a lot of, I think, pluses and minuses to using fire support. So let's just clear it up real quick. So the way that fire support works, the keyword is when another friendly unit performs a ranged attack. If you have a face-up order token, which is relevant, each minion in your unit may add an eligible weapon to the attack pool. If you do, flip your order token face down, limit one fire support per attack pool. Now, just some clarifications on the rules here, and Keegan, you can correct me if I get some of this wrong. Remember, it is eligible weapon, so it is measured from range of the supporting unit, not the shooting unit.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have like some, because you have to be within reasonable range of the shooting unit, but it's measured from your unit. That's correct, right?
Yes. So both
the fire supporting unit, is where it's measured
correct.
from.
Yeah. Both the unit making the attack, they have to be able to make a legal attack. And then the unit providing fire support has to be able to make a legal attack. Mm-hmm. However, the unit providing fire support is only adding their dice, their weapon to the dice pool. So things like cover are only measured from the attacking unit.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. But so let's say someone's at range 1, right? The unit you're supporting is at range 1. If you have a range 3 weapon, you can really only get an effective range 2 out of that, right? Depending on the directionality. Is that correct, right? Because 1...
it depends on where they're relatively located. So if the attacking unit is... if it's a range 1 to 3 weapon, say it's the Rebel Mark II, as long as the defending unit is within the front fire arc and within range 1 to 3 of the fire supporting unit, then it can contribute its weapon dice to the attack.
True, and actually the arc, that's a really good point, that the arc matters as well. That's a really good point. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear to everybody, that and maybe it's even a little fuzzy now, more fuzzy now. But just make it clear that you do still have to measure, like, eligible weapon is a rule that's definitely relevant for us. So all right, so Keegan, you were telling us in the last cast, and you just brought up your Mark II medium blaster trooper. So for the fire support there, how do you generally try and use that before I go into my questions?
Yeah, great question. So fire support, it does a couple of things. It's going to add the dice that are part of the weapon. It's also going to add any weapon keywords into it. So in the case of the Mark II, you're getting critical 2 into any dice pool that you're bringing. The attack uses the surge chart of the actual attacking unit. So bringing critical 2 on the Mark II can add basically an opportunity to surge to crit to any unit that doesn't have a native surge or only surges to hit. So fire supporting Rebel troopers, fire supporting their own vets that search only to hit, can offer the opportunity to potentially get additional crits. one of the when I think about what my best units to fire support with are, I'm also looking though at units that are going to be giving me even more advantage to the 4 die critical 2 attack that the Mark II would be able to do on its own. Because you mentioned it earlier, flipping a token down or having a face-up token, you flip the token down to trigger fire support, you're losing that activation for that round. You're spending that extra one in order to get that extra push on this attack. So I want to make it worth it instead of it just. I would have been better off just aiming and shooting with the Mark II itself in an attack. The ways that I have the most value out of that, sharpshooter is one of the easiest to justify. Whether it's a sniper or we talked about Jin a lot last week and her sharpshooter 1, Cassian and his marksman, especially if you're supporting his sniper shots from across the. He's in a safe position across the board, and your Mark II is the one at risk. But a 6 dice marksman attack, especially when he's loaded with aims, can really do some punch. Get those crits through cover, armor, and have that pierce in there. So sharpshooter and pierce that are coming from the attacking unit are the ones that I want to be fire supporting on the rebel side.
Okay, so that's a really, really good point. So actually, I just want to draw what I'm putting up right now. I just want to draw everybody's eye to it. So this is at the bottom of page 17, at the top of 18 in the rules. Remember that each weapon that contributes dice to an attack pool also applies its keywords to the attack pool, right? So what he's saying is, even though the critical 2 that comes from your huge machine gun, right, the Mark II machine gun, that now becomes critical on every single die in that pool. Yep. Right, and vice versa, right? The stuff that's in the existing pool it's applied back. So that's what he's saying, and I just wanted to point that out exactly in the rules. We've actually talked about that on some other casts as well, but I like to again from just a rules standpoint, I like to understand that.
Yeah, this is a good one that can feel confusing, especially in the heat of the moment early on as you're learning the rules, and it's a good one to repeat. So that's a great call out.
Okay, so now you mentioned, I mean, that's a fantastic point, actually, because that was one of my main questions is, we'll go ahead and skip to question number 2, because that's just the way it works. But when you fire support, you have to have the face-up token, and you could have just, in theory, activated.
Yep.
So you're burning, effectively, kind of an action, right? Yes. Because you're like you said, you would aim and shoot maybe on your own. So why would I want to do that? And I think you just answered that with, because I just made my pool better.
Making the pool better, especially where you can compound keywords in, where you have a better shot. Perhaps because of you're trying to keep the fire supporting unit safer. Maybe they only have heavy cover shots, but you've got someone who, whether through sharpshooter or not, can get an open shot on a target. Adding a 4 extra dice that won't be impacted by cover in a pool can be an advantage to try to push more damage through. Of course, balancing with the need to have equal being down activations for that turn. We've talked about rebels a little bit. The Empire is another one with emplacement troopers with fire support.
Short troopers.
That's right. The short troopers and their mortars. The mortar is an interesting one because it's got a better range. It's got range out to range 4. Specifically, it's range 2 to 4, which means actually if something is inside of range 2, you can't fire support the mortar weapon. I suppose you could fire support the the rifle from the dude, but I don't know if that's ever worth it. But being able to fire support out to range 4 seems really compelling on the surface. It's going to be critical 1. It's 3 extra white dice. Most of the mortars that I've seen usually get a crit with an aim, so that's not too bad. Here's the thing, though. The mortar, the Imperial mortar, also has the suppressive keyword. So when you're fire supporting, if you were to just aim and shoot with a mortar, that's 2 suppression off of a hit onto a unit. And then if you were shooting with the short troopers, that's a 3rd suppression. If you fire support those short troopers with that mortar, you're only getting 2 suppression on that unit because suppressive only applies ones. So you're basically giving up the suppressive to get 2 instead of having the 2 separate attacks. I think that's one of the reasons that I generally see a lot less fire support on the Imperial side, because the mortars just kind of hanging back, plopping that stuff out there, getting the 2 suppression in there, doing their thing, is generally a better use than adding 3 extra white die with critical 1 to most of the pools. So that's another kind of approach, different faction, slightly different take on it.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point there, and this is where I naturally fail at these type of, or not fail, but this is where I always have the immediate hang up on these type of games, is that I stick too closely to the defined line of play. In that you mentioned fire supporting Cassian. I mean, Agent Kallus is a thing, and I have him in my list. Like fire supporting Agent Kallus with his bow rifle is actually not a horrible use at all, right?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of situations where that would be really, really powerful, because it is that few extra die that are really strong there. I'm just pulling up Kallus real fast because I don't quite actually just got my Kallus in the mail today. Oh,
and we got him on the table 2 weeks ago. He is awesome. Nice. So his bow rifle, they both shoot for, depending on which config it is, they both shoot for red, 2 black, and a white. The thing is, you have to spend an aim to get pierce.
Yep.
But generally he gets it because he has the natural aim there. So
yeah. So this is an interesting one because you would be taking a 4 dice pool to a 7 dice pool with 3 extra white dice. We talked about the conflict of fire supporting with suppressive. So where these 2 units could get a total of 3 suppression on a unit or on the enemy army, they're only going to get 2 by combining it in there, because it's going to be 1 suppressive. This is another. The other thing about this is the other keyword on the mortar that can be a benefit is critical 1, which isn't getting leverage because Kallus already surges the crit. So
that's true. That's fair.
I think there are probably absolutely situations where there's not much else a mortar is going to shoot at. Maybe there's 2 minis left. They're on 3 suppression anyways. It's worth trying to kill them, and if not, throw the extra suppression on there. But it depends.
Yeah, that's fair actually. See, you got my wheels turning, and then they weren't even
these are great. These are great questions, and I love talking through them, especially for your audience, because I love these are the kinds of questions that are going to be out there, and being able to have this conversation and pre-answer these questions can really make a better experience when people get back into the game stores.
Sure. All right. So before I interjected, you were going to bring up a third point.
I was going to move us on to the boogeymen and your preferred faction.
The clones.
The third and final fire supporters of the Legion verse now.
Yeah. So what I have up right now is the phase 2s. The elusive phase 2s that no one can find at their LGS.
I have 2 sets of them assembled, waiting to be primed here. I got lucky.
I've got 2.
Nice.
But so yeah, these guys. I mean, there's not much there's not a whole lot to them. They just have fire support, and they're really good.
The phase 2's biggest strengths. The phase 1s also have fire support, but the phase 2s bring the addition of reliable. They bring the additional courage. So there's a ton going on there. Clone fire support is all about just making these overwhelming dice pools that can just crush things. I think 2 Z6s together, you're rolling 20 dice if you're doing that, which that's going to overwhelm anyone who put themselves out there. Areas where you see this setup, I know that take that Clankers is focused on the long range for everyone. Some of the other
you're talking about Rex's amazing multi-shot fire support card.
Yeah. Oh yeah, is it Call Me Captain?
It's Call Me Captain.
Yeah. So that Rex gets a lot of fun fire support options there. But I've been on the painful receiving end of arcs firing in and using a phase 1 or phase 2 unit to fire support and just add the extra dice. Like I said, the key thing here is it's all about just massive dice pools, and deciding that you're going to have that trade-off of activation advantage, to put those truly overwhelming. The Rebel and the Empire, they're adding 3 or 4 dice in their fire support options. The clones are adding 6 to 10 in pretty much every situation of pretty quality dice, usually with aims and surges abounding. So
yeah, that's one of the things I've been able to pull off a couple of times, is because Rex's command cards are pretty generous with the number of orders you can, or number of units you can issue orders to.
Yes.
I'll issue one to him, and then even aside from his bonkers card that we just talked about, you can issue one to a core unit, and because you're playing like 5 core units, you're going to draw a core unit out of your bag, right?
Yep.
So then you can pull one out of and activate like the phase 2. So you have a phase 1 next to your phase 2. You move the phase 2 forward, and then you fire support, and you do exactly what you just said. So then you can burn the phase 1 and the phase 2 and just unload. And usually I play the DC 15 on my phase 1s.
Yeah.
I think it's the DC 15. It's the one that shoots the red die for. But your point about the multiple D6s with an aim token is not irrelevant.
Yeah. And clones have only gotten better at this with the advent of 5s and the clone commander, because 5's coordinate keyword is going to just add another clone trooper with the face-up order token, and the clone commander bringing the direct keyword, adding yet another, or directing to 5s and then onto the other, and then your orders are going wherever they need to be. So ton of powerful options there.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a perfect lead-in then to our next topic, which is the face-up order token part of this. Right? Is relatively difficult to achieve sometimes. So the thing you mentioned is coordinate. So let's bring up our boys, the shore troopers, right? If I can find them here. Maybe. All right, so shore troopers have coordinate emplacement trooper. After you're issued an order, you may issue an order to a friendly emplacement trooper at range 1. So, the very easy thing to understand there is you throw the triangle on the shores, and they can throw a triangle to the mortar. And then they can both activate as a team. In theory.
And so that's for fire support, or even just getting core tokens out of the bag. That's a really straightforward and simple way to use the shores and the mortars. We talked about the Empire, not probably out of the 3 the least likely to have situations to fire support, but that's a really, really straightforward way. Back when the shores first came out, there was it was possible to put the comms relay on the mortars and do some really goofy funny chains that just got a whole ton of order control out there, and because they don't care about it, the mortars didn't necessarily have them on there, but that was fine because they could just draw a token and then aim shoot with them anyways, and you had a ton of order control that way. These days I think it's about keeping the bags clean and getting some orders out there. The Empire has a few different ways to tackle that. We talked a little bit already about the clone stuff. I won't go much deeper in there. We cover those options.
Well, I'll throw 5s up real. Oh yeah, and you mentioned the clone commander too. So I'll throw 5s up in the clone commander.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything more to be said about them. I'm sure I'm missing something. I am not a GAR player. I will admit that. So my friends who are screaming at their phones right now, it's not my fault. Rebels, however, the way that I play the vets, I since I do think that the Rebels have a more compelling fire support case, I play the vets loaded out to make it possible. Rebels don't have their command cards are not necessarily geared towards getting a bunch of orders on core troopers like some of the other factions are. Most of the time the Rebels want their orders on the more specialty units, whether they're characters or special forces. But the vets have the advantage of being able to take the personnel upgrade, and I put the comms trooper in there first and foremost, and then I slap an HQ uplink on the vets.
Okay.
I do, yeah. And I play the vets in such a way that I'm counting on recovering once or twice a game, every single game. I usually put offensive push on there to get some recover efficiency. But that first time I recover, it might just be the HQ uplink, because in the early turns, I probably activated them to clean out my bag, as well as be sure that I was getting orders onto the Mark IIs to have flexibility for fire support. That's the primary way that I do that for the order control. One thing that it did occur to me, it's not directly related to fire support, but since we're talking about the coordinate emplacement trooper keyword on both the shore troopers and the vets, emplacement trooper is not just the mortars or the Mark IIs. Both the FD cannon on the Rebel side and the E-Web on the Imperial side are emplacement troopers. So if you're bringing those in your lists and your core trooper emplacements get shot out from under you, as they often do, your shores or your veterans can still be giving order benefit with that coordinate keyword to the FDs or the E-Webs, which can come in pretty handy, especially with comms upgrades like link targeting array on the bigger emplacements.
Oh yeah, that's true. The E-Web I always forget exists. Like, I think it belongs in the back of that Gav tank, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, folks. I'm just kidding.
I know some strong E-Web plays that I've seen lately. The E-Web, and I've seen an E-Web and Palp list that's pretty strong. But and having the benefit of that coordinate could be really handy.
Oh, that's actually pretty dirty.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we had to make sure and confirm before we said this in the cast, but we couldn't find a fire support on the for the droids, and maybe that's why. It's because of Dooku.
Oh, it would be terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, between Dooku and their droids have just free reign of order tokens pretty much whenever they want them.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, you throw your B2, like your B. Well, I guess your B2 is only range 2, but yeah. Okay, fair enough. Okay, well this has been valuable because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't understand, and that's a really good point about combining the pools. So I think that. Yeah. I mean, that might have actually answered most of my questions.
The last thing I will say, especially from the Rebel side, is a big thing to consider when trying to run a fire support list is how do you keep these things alive? The Mark IIs just recently got a errata upgrade so that they do have 4 health instead of the 3 originally printed on there. 3 health and white defense dice. They were just getting slaughtered with having to be at range 3 to be effective. I heard a rumor that they were testing making them range 4, but it apparently got completely oppressive. So as much fun as that would have been, instead they kept them at range 3, the Mark IIs, and moved them up to 4 health. So 4 health makes it a lot better. It's a lot harder to one-shot them off the board. However, they do still they are still pretty susceptible, especially if you're facing down a clone gun line with 20 dice coming at you. The measures that I have are not necessarily going to help you against that massive clone dice pool. However, I have generally found it really handy to run either Chewie or medics or a combination in my lists. Chewie in there, he's got 9 health, Guardian 3. If he hangs out in range 2, within range 1 of my 2 Mark IIs, then he can absorb a lot of those early hits and make them a little bit tougher to kill. And I don't mind if they're the only Guardian target, and I'm being a little bit selective about it. I don't mind him taking some extra wounds, getting to his enraged level based off of absorbing hits off of the Mark IIs. Medics serve a similar purpose. Either medics alone to take those wounds off before they get taken off the table, or if you're bringing them medics and Chewie, you can kind of just make it a assembly line. Chewie takes the wounds for the Mark IIs, and the medics take the wounds off Chewie. And so those are a couple of key things. The final thing is I've tried a few different deployment approaches of having one set of vets and a Mark II on one side, another set of vets and a Mark II on another side, splitting them up. I generally have less success with that. I think a lot of I think these things benefit from sticking pretty close together and building up that threat saturation, forcing an opponent to choose which threat they're going to shoot at, especially if there are fully loaded vets in the mix, Chewie's in there, and other stuff coming at them. It can improve the survivability of the Mark IIs, or it can have your big threats ready to go and doing damage to the enemy if they've decided to focus down the Mark IIs. So that's the last thing I'll talk about there. Less applicable for the Empire because they have range 4, and for the clones because you hit their clones.
So you're running the medic in the vets, is what you're saying, right?
I usually you can't run the medic in the vets the way I do it because I like the comms tech.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But it's not in. We talked about my veterans of Scarif list. They don't have room for medics in. Actually, I don't have Chewie in that list, so that's a bad example.
Right.
Right now. I'm running a. I'm also practicing a Han, Lando, Chewie, veterans Mark II Wookiee list that I like a lot. That one just has Chewie in it, but when I try to add medics in there, I'll usually throw them on like Rebel Trooper squads.
They're cheap. They're super cheap.
Yeah. So that's if it's just a naked Rebel Trooper squad and a medic, that's going to be 58 points, which for 2 extra wounds to suck off of Chewie or the Mark II. So
yeah, medics. That'd be a whole different cast. Actually, I had a cast in the past. I don't know if you saw it. It was my clone medic hype, and that guy's phenomenal, dude. But he's not a non-combatant, so that's relevant.
Yeah.
Anyway. But so that's. Now let's go ahead and talk about it. Right, we're here. Right. So with using the medic, because the medic has a base points cost. Mm-hmm. It usually makes sense to put him in the more expensive unit, right? Because it costs you less net points, right? Than if you were to run the extra dude. Unit.
Oh yes, in the the Rebel Trooper unit.
Yeah, well, since the vets are more expensive, right? So if you were to run, because you put him in the extra dude slot. Mm-hmm. So if you were to run him. I don't remember off the top of my head what his points value, the medic's points value are, but like the clone medic, for example, is 20 points. Mm-hmm. So if I put him in a phase 1, it nets me, it actually costs me more points than if I put him in a phase 2, because the extra dude in a phase 2 is more expensive. So I actually save like 3 points, I think it is, by putting him in the phase 2 versus putting him in the phase 1, because the extra dude on the phase 1's cheaper. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does, yeah. I think that might be a little more relevant in clones because they don't have the non-combatant keyword, like you mentioned.
The math, fair. That's probably
the
fair.
math. Yeah, the math I'm usually doing for the non-combatant medics in the Rebel or the Empire is usually more along the lines of what is the value of. I've got 2 charges to heal. That means each one is 9 points. The Rebel medic is 18, I think. So, am I healing? A 9-point or a more expensive mini back.
Right.
That's the math that I'm usually doing on that, and then I put them in the unit that is going to be conducive to that unit being in the right place to support. The trade-off with the vets, I like I said, I find the value, especially when I'm running for fire support, the value of the comms tech is essential for me in the vets, and frankly because the comms tech is also a combatant. So my fully loaded vets are rolling 5 black, 4 white dice at range 3 with critical 2 off the CM. So I definitely like having that in my vet squads there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then what's the HQ uplink now? Is it still 10?
It is still 10, yeah. So it's 9 points for the comms tech, 10, and you have to take a comm upgrade when you do that. So it's essentially 19 points for the tech and the upgrade, which is a deal, I believe, on the extra mini in the vet squad.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I'd have to sit down and like actually do some like paper scribbles, but I think, you're right, because you're not going to be healing a rebel trooper, right? Like there's no point.
No.
So yeah. As opposed to, I'm more than happy to, like you said, I'm more than happy to heal a clone.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So
you likely are, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Well, I think that was actually, this was great. We got off topic with the medic, but people will live.
Yeah.
So
that's what medics do. They help them live.
yeah. So well, yeah. So guys, you may know that Keegan, he's a member of multiple things, but what he's one of his side projects right now is 6UP Supply. So why don't you bring us up to speed on what's going over there, as well as your recent May the 4th announcement?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, like you said, 6UP Supply. We're a small 2-person, living the Silicon Valley dream, starting a business in our garage, 3D printing shop and we specialize in designing right now Legion tokens and game pieces. We've had some great products that we've talked about on this show before, and if you haven't been paying attention to us, this week we announced 3 formal partnerships that we're super excited about. The first was kind of already. It's not a huge surprise, but we've entered a great partnership with the Legion Outriders to support their future Patreon rewards, and hopefully actually accelerate and get more cool Outriders stuff, both so that their Patreons can get the STLs, and then we're going to be selling those printed models in our store. The second, if anyone has stumbled on our Instagram, you might have had this spoiled too. We partnered with Hammerfall Customs, which is a custom 3D mini designer out of Spain, who designs at the action figure scale. So the 1 to 6, I think it's 1 to 6, 1 to 12, one of the two. I'm bad at those numbers. That's why I have a business partner who's good at that stuff. But anyways, the action figure scale, so incredibly detailed, Star Wars inspired. Droids and carts and consoles and all sorts of little baubles. Well, we started talking to him, and we found a great alignment in downsizing the work that he does, and we have a full line of products available from exclusive to the 6UP store, designed by Hammerfall Customs at the Legion scale. So with the AA5 coming out and the unstable Gonk droid upgrade card on there, now we're go to the 6UP Supply store, and you can order your own little Legion scale Gonk that'll arrive ready to go, ready to glue into the land speeder or the AA5, however you see fit. So
I can throw open my door and my Gonk's right there.
100%, yeah. Gonk's in there. There's rodent droids. I think officially the Gonk is the walking power droid. But some great carts, some great crates and baubles, and all sorts of other stuff to help really bring your tables and some of your minis to life, to get that extra little bit of something. And the third and final thing that we announced this week was a partnership with Team Relentless. So, the Legion community may know Team Relentless as one of the leaders in great competitive gameplay. They've been responsible for a ton of the content, as well as the individual members have been responsible for a great deal of some of our best live tournaments over the last few years. And to that end, we are excited to be working with them to design a Team Relentless line of terrain products. And first out the door, available now in our store, is the Team Relentless Clubhouse. Anyone who's watched the Playbook show on the Team Relentless channel has seen Mbueja, My Name is Ben, sitting behind a couple of handmade terrain pieces. Well, the guys over there worked with us to figure out how to make those actual 3D printable files, and we now offer those 3D those full scale prints for purchase, so you can have those now. And we even modeled in an easy carrier for our custom LED chips, so that model can come lit up right out of the box for you. Well, those are our three super exciting announcements this week. Great May the 4th celebration from us. If you haven't already, sign up for our mailing list to get some of the best discount codes. And Andrew, if you want one, I'll spin up a discount code for you and your viewers for the month as well. Hey, there we go. Commando 10, baby, or whatever it may be. Sounds good. Yeah, Commando. I can make it whatever it is. So let's say Commando 10 right now. All right, Commando 10 at 6UP Supply for 10% off your purchase at checkout. That's right. Sounds good. We have a Commando 10 at my LGS as well. So, perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, everybody can remember it. Perfect. All right. Well, I think
I think that does it for today. Good chats as always. I wish I could have you on more, but we got to figure out how to put our kids to bed is the trick. So
yeah, my trick tonight was my wife did it, so I cheated.
That's a great answer. It's a great answer.
I get one of those a week.
Mine's actually young enough that my wife has to put him to bed still every night because he's eating, right?
Oh yeah.
So, but that'll flip.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, thank you again, my friend. I really enjoy having you on here. This is a good time. So thank you very much, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this guy, make sure to pound those thumbs up buttons. Don't pound the thumbs down if you don't. That's just not nice. It's just not nice, folks.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm a person.
Yeah. No, so I'm just kidding, folks. I appreciate very much everybody tuning in. This is great. Legion is my personal game hobby that brings me joy, and when I need to zone out, I can do Legion stuff and go paint, and it's great. So thanks for being a part of this journey with me, Keegan. Thank you very much for helping me learn and grow. Again, thanks, folks, for joining. If nothing else, folks, go Commando.